How big is 1 trillion? Anyone knows? This is still 1 billion. You can literally live in a house of money. 1 trillion is this. This is 1 trillion. The human is right here at the left corner. So I would like to talk to you about this two very broad applications, very powerful applications to illustrate this power of the control systems. The example that I want to talk about is, first, is something that you are using right now, human body temperature control. You know that human body temperature is regulated at a constant degree of 37.2 Celsius or 98.6 Fahrenheit. This is independent of whether you go to the mountains in the winter or you go to the desert. The body temperature has to be maintained at this level in order for you to function. Otherwise, you will feel sick. Now, how it works is actually very interesting if you think about it. During a warm day, the hair on your skin is lying usually flat. They're not sticking up. In a cold day, the hair will stick up if you expose your skin to the outside environment. Now, what happens is this. On a cold day, your skin is sticking up because your muscles on the skin, they are contracting. They're trying to tighten up. Why? Because your body doesn't want to lose water. If you lose water, if you sweat on your skin, then water gets evaporated. Evaporation takes away heat. So that's how your body regulates your temperature in a cold day. And during a hot day, the muscle relaxes, the blood vessels dilates, and then you have more blood pumping on the surface of your skin, and then the water gets evaporated much faster as your skin relaxes. So that's how, from outside your skin, you regulate the body temperature. And then inside your brain, at the back of your brain, there is this little piece of component in your brain that will actually measure your body temperature and then be able to tell the difference between the outside temperature, whether it's a hot day or a cold day, and then your actual body temperature. So there is this feedback system. Your brain takes the measurement of your temperature, compares it with the external temperature, and then closes the loop by controlling, for example, the skin, whether it contracts the muscle or it dilates the blood vessels. So that's a feedback control system. And it's amazing, actually, because your body temperature is always this relatively 98.6 Fahrenheit, regardless of the environment. So that's the power of feedback. It allows us to make a precise, relatively precise device that works well even in very challenging environments, challenging and changing environments. Now, that's the feedback loop is important over here. Also, humans are intelligent. Humans will use other control methods too. For example, if it's outside, if it's on a cold day, you will wear more clothes. If it's on a hot day, you will wear less. You will wear t-shirts or lighter clothes. So there is this feed-forward mechanism. When you go to ski, snowboard in the winter, the first thing you look at is what's the weather like? What's the temperature like over there? Humans use these external devices that provide them information to do prediction, to predict what's going to be happening in the situation. And then we use this mechanism called feed-forward mechanism to help the control system. So the power of control is this. Exactly, you can regulate the body temperature to be within 1 or 2 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year and in complex environment. This system is so robust, even if you are a little bit sick, the system is also going to be functioning. So that's the power of feedback and the power of feed-forward in a human body temperature control system. Now, scientists actually found out amazing ways to make this control system to be more useful. This little article in 2024 actually is amazing. Human, we don't hibernate. Snake, bear, they hibernate, right? During winter, they can control the body temperature to be actually very low, to consume less energy for them to survive. Now, Rats, they don't hibernate either. But scientists found out we can have a medical switch type of mechanism to mimic the hibernation in non-hibernating animals, such as a rat. They can send a signal to control the brain such that it feels like it should hibernate and reduce all the energy consumption of the body. That's how not only control system is very powerful to regulate the body temperature, but also how this control system can be configured at a high level to make benefits for the lives, either of a human or animal. What we talked about is just one example that you use every day, but control is really important in many, many broad fields. For example, process control and manufacturing. It is stated in this article, the impact of control technology published by this IEEE Control Systems Society. It says this: advanced control is one of the technologies most often used to improve the economic performance of a process plant. And specifically, a process plant, you can imagine a power generation plant or water treatment plant, these kind of systems, very, very large scale. And a small percentage of performance increase will mean millions, sometimes billions of dollars. So you can say over here, control system can increase the throughput, can reduce the fuel consumption, can reduce emission levels, reduce electricity consumption, improve quality, and then many, many other benefits. So that's how realistically control system can change to quantifiable performance gains, or sometimes dollar amounts. A recent example which will amplify the perception is this. In CES 2025, earlier this year, roughly in February, January-ish, they released their new GPU, 5090, Blackwell 5090. The GPU is amazing. It's very, very different from the GPU maybe even 5 years ago. It does this real-time rendering of things. So meaning that if you play a game and your character is moving from one scene to another, your character goes into a room, things are rendered in real time instead of pre-rendered and presented to you. So this makes the game more interactive, more dynamic. The power of the power that created this real-time rendering is this chip that is perhaps a little bit larger than a watch face. That's the little chip that empowers this amazing performance. Now, on this chip, that's about the size of a watch face, there are 92 billion transistors. What does that mean? That means you have 92 billion electronic components on this watch face size chip. And then inside, if you have a magnifier that's powerful enough, the transistors are lying in this type of configurations. It's like an amazing building, and the transistors are just configured in a way. They are built on this chip layer by layer. It's a process called photolithography in semiconductor manufacturing, and it looks like this. The entire mechanism is very complex, but you can imagine how doing this, if there are 92 billion transistors, how many times the process has to happen and how precise the process has to happen. All right, billions of transistors. If you, as a human, to stack a billion of components on a watch face size chip, that's impossible. How big is a billion? You can think about this. If you stack $10,000 bills, that's about this size. It's about this size thick. Maybe you can do it very precisely so that the bills are lying very accurately together. If you have 1 million, that's about the size of your shoes, your pair of shoes. Maybe you can still stack them together, tidy and clean. Now, if you have 1 billion, that's this size. Can you stack manually $1 billion bills accurately like this? That's impossible. And maybe at one stage, now it's 92 billion transistors. At some point, I don't know whether it's going to reach 1 trillion How big is 1 trillion? Anyone knows? This is still 1 billion. So that's 1 billion. You can literally live in a house of money. 1 trillion is this. This is 1 trillion. The human is right here at the left corner. Impossible for human to do. That's one of the power of control system. There are many things human cannot do, but control system can help. The photolithography process is exactly making this happening. In this scanning pattern, there are many different components. There is a light source, there is a pattern for the light source to go through and then build these transistors on this so-called silicon wafers. This is nanometer scale precision manufacturing. And translating this to an everyday scenario is like this. You drive from the Seattle airport to the university campus. You drive it one time, you have your tires will have a trajectory. The precision requirement for this photolithography process is this. You have to drive it 90 billion times. And every day, every time, the difference between your tire trajectories has to be millimeter scale error. You cannot deviate from your previous track by millimeter kind of resolution. And you have to do this every day, all year long. So that's the control resolution. That's the power of control systems that are built into the photolithography process. There are many, many details that go into this. That's beyond the scope of this class. I'll just show you some simple concepts. If you do certain things repeatedly, then obviously there are certain things that can be learned. So there are categories of control systems that does this. On the top is with relatively weak control, you just make the same error every time. With more advanced, enhanced controls, you can go very quickly to learn from previous errors and then increase the resolution very quickly. Some keywords over here, relevant methods are repetitive control, iterative learning control, and loop shaping. These are actually used control tools in high performance manufacturing systems. There are some details if you want to learn. If you want to read more, you can go to this QR code or this paper over here. And then this is a more general paper that talks about the entire field of semiconductor manufacturing. Okay, that's two examples, one human body control example, one semiconductor manufacturing example. One example that we will talk a little bit more today in our technical content is this one. Is information storage. It's disk drive systems that are used very heavily. Maybe 8 terabytes of disk drives are very common nowadays. They are used often in data storage centers in this big data era. Inside is like this. This is another nanometer scale precision device that's actually amazingly cheap compared to what it can do. So there is a read-write head that moves around on this rotating disk. And then as you store or read information from the disk, the read-write head, the actuator, needs to rotate so that it reads this data precisely. And this happens very quickly, and then the resolution is very big, because if you think about 8 terabytes of information on this disk, that's really, really dense. How dense it can be is like this. Imagine you fly an airplane at much, much faster speed than you nowadays do, 500,000 miles per hour. But you are flying it only above the ground, maybe less than a fraction of an inch above the ground. And then you have to switch lanes many, many times very quickly. So imagine 100,000 lanes on the highway while you're doing this flight. And then you have to maintain the resolution of your flight. The lanes are so tiny, it's only a fraction of an inch. So you have to stick on your lane very accurately, and when you need to switch lanes, you have to do that very quickly and accurately. That's the resolution requirement for this nanometer scale precision device. And control system is everywhere in this compact mechatronic device. I just introduced 3 examples, but there are many, many success stories of control in this report. And then you can find all kinds of things: automotive controls, power plants, medical systems, etc. So you can read more. Here just some highlights: mobile phones, flight control, pharmaceutical crystallization, UAVs, energy systems. But hopefully you have had some concept of why this is relevant to modern technology and everyday life.